The Strait of Hormuz may not be the only vital waterway turned flashpoint in the war between the U.S. and Iran. Tehran has warned that if Washington's naval blockade continues, it could use its Houthi allies in Yemen to shut the Bab el-Mandeb gateway to the Red Sea. Now, the narrow Bab el-Mandeb waterway links the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden. When the U.S.-Israeli war against Iran first closed the Strait of Hormuz, Saudi Arabia diverted more than 70% of its oil exports to the Red Sea path. Now, if both of the region's major oil export routes were to be shut simultaneously, it could cripple global trade in ways that this war has so far not seen. Joining me now is Oraib Rantawi, founder and director general of the Quds Center for Political Studies in Amman, Jordan. He's a veteran analyst of Middle Eastern politics. Mr. Rantawi, it's good to have you with us. When Iran says that no country in the region will be allowed to export energy if Iran cannot, should Gulf government, should they treat that as just bluster, or should they see that as a declaration that their own energy infrastructure is now a legitimate Iranian target?
Thank you for having me in this show. I think this is an essential pillar in the Iranian strategy. It was, they made it very clear from the early beginning of this war. If Iran is not allowed to export its oil, nobody in the region can export its oil. Energy is one of the major battlefields from the Iranian strategic perspective. Iran understands that it will lose the war with the United States if it is limited to its own geography and it followed military tools only. That's why they expand their threats, and they include 5 to 6 to 7 sometimes countries within this war to pressure the administration and to achieve their goals.
You know, much of the attention has focused on the Strait of Hormuz, but Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, they have pipelines that are designed to bypass the strait. Is Iran now threatening those pipelines?
I think so. During the 40 days war, I think they said very, very serious messages to Saudi Arabia. They attacked Fujairah in the Emirates and they attacked Yanbu in Saudi Arabia. But it was a symbolic attack at that time, just the messages. If Iran approach what's so-called Samson option, the worst case scenario in their confrontation with the United States, yes, I think they will do it. If not they themselves, I think they have allies in Yemen who will be able and easily succeed to target, especially the east-west pipeline of Saudi Arabia. And they have experience before attacking Aramco, as far as you know.
And do you think that that is likely, that Iran will trigger the use of the Houthi rebels in Yemen?
Yeah, this was on the table from day one, but the question is about timing, when they will join the war against the United States, Israel, and we saw the Houthis at the last days of the war start attacking Israel. Some accident in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and I think they are reserved to the Samson option scenario, as I mentioned before, because in that case, Saudi Arabia, Emirates will be the main targets, not only Bab el-Mandeb Strait.
You know as well as I do that Iran doesn't have to destroy the entire energy network. I mean, it just needs one successful strike on a refinery or a pipeline, and that would frighten away tanker crews and insurers. I mean, has the threat itself, has it become almost as powerful as the weapons?
Yeah, I think so. And we can see the results from the oil prices in the international markets, from the stock markets as well. Threats sometimes enough rather than to use the actual military force. But I do believe, and we have experienced it in the 40 days war, when Yanbu received a missile from Iran or from Yemen, we don't know yet. The Saudi production of oil declined from 7 million barrels a day in this pipeline to almost 2 million barrels, which is rare enough for the local markets. Yes, I agree with you. One successful strike is enough to change the rules of the game.
Let me ask you about the way things look from where you are, from Jordan's perspective. I mean, how dangerous is this moment? I mean, Jordan hosts American forces, it intercepts missiles, and it lies close to several potential fronts in this conflict. Is Tehran beginning to treat Jordanian airspace and territory as part of the battlefield?
Tension escalated in the last few days, and we saw an official Iranian threats to Jordan that if they didn't succeed to stop the Americans using the Jordanian soil and airspace, Jordan will be a target. Yes, it is a risky situation for Jordan. Jordan didn't choose this war, but Jordan have no other option but to defend itself, its sovereignty, its airspace, its soil. That's why we find ourselves as a country in the middle of this war, hoping that this will be finished soon by returning back to negotiation table and comply with the MOU signed by the two parties. But until that moment, yes, there is a serious risk.
I'm wondering, what about deterrence? Has deterrence failed on both sides here? I mean, the United States cannot force Iran to retreat, but Iran has also failed to stop American strikes. Are we now watching two powers escalate because neither can compel the other to back down?
I agree with you, but I want to add something else. Deterrence collapse also between Israel and Iran, and this is the most important result of this war. I think neither Iran nor the United States or Israel succeeded to impose deterrence on the other side. And the returning back to the large-scale confrontation, as we saw it in the last week, and in particular, it is an attempt by the different groups to restore deterrence and to impose their own understanding of the memorandum, which is, I think, almost a very, very difficult scenario. The only way out of this crisis is one of the two scenarios, whether to go for a full-fledged war again, which is not desired by the United States and Iran as well, or to go for a negotiation table. And we saw now the mediators, especially from the Gulf states, Qatar, Oman, beside Pakistan, of course, Egypt, Turkey, are very active really to contain the escalation and to return back to the negotiation table.
So far, they haven't been very successful, but your point is well taken. I don't think anyone wants to see another full-scale war break out. But diplomacy, it just doesn't look very viable at the moment, does it?
Yes, it is, but we lack of other options, whether to go for a full-scale war or to go for diplomacy and to activate the efforts and maybe to bring other parties to the scene. More involvement of Turkey, which with its influence in the United States, Erdogan and Trump personal ties, more activated role by Egypt, others. I think we lack of options, whether to go for a full-scale war or to go for a full active diplomacy.
Iran depends on energy exports and trade through the Gulf. I mean, it certainly is not isolated here. Would attacking the region's infrastructure, would it be a rational strategy if we were talking about war, or would it be an act of economic suicide by a government that believes it has nothing left to lose?
Put yourself in their shoes and try to understand the strategic thinking of the Iranian leadership. For them, this should be the last war against them. For them, it is an existential threat. for not only for the future of the regime, but for the mere existence of their country, of their unity, of their territory integral, and all these things. For them, this is for the Iranian. Yani, they hope that this is the last war they will be involved within. That's why they will be not reluctant to use any card, including this Samsung option, including attacking the oil fields, the oil pipelines in the whole region, attacking the neighbor countries. Iran cannot attack the United States in its own territory. That's why they pressure the United States by attacking their assets in the neighboring countries and their allies as well. And maybe next step, Israel will be part of this. For Iran, there is no way to step back. This is existential threat. And for them, they adopted 3 pillars strategy from day one. The war shouldn't be limited to their own geography. It should be regional the day after. Second, oil and energy should be a battlefield in this confrontation. The third, to capitalize in Hormuz Strait as a strategic asset for Iran. Those are the 3 pillars, major pillars for the Iranian strategy in this war.
Well, let's hope, as you said, let's hope that diplomacy does win the final day here. Time will certainly tell. Mr. Rantawi, we appreciate your time and your valuable insights tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.